A massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, especially these days. 8 different settings, adjustable intensity, plus it's heated, and it just feels so good. Yes, a massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, but when it can come with a car, suddenly it seems quite practical. The all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, packed with premium features like available massaging front seats, it only feels extravagant.
The Timeline is a Blue Wire podcast. The national nightmare is over, Sam.
What's up, boss? What's up, Chad?
And we're live. We're going to post this on a feed. So we are live on Playback immediately after the game. We decided to just do this because why not? We all need it, right?
Let me just go retweet your post.
Chat, how we doing? They can't hurt us anymore. That's exactly right, Blake. The Suns got swept. In some ways, I was almost kind of like, okay, good. Okay, thank God.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think this again.
I think some people were expecting me to come on. I know I did my whole little rants after game 3 and screaming
Woke
and whatever.
your neighbors up. Yeah.
You know, I didn't hear anything. I didn't see any passive aggressive notes or on my car or anything the next day. So I think we're in the clear there. But I just don't have it in me. I don't have it in me after this game. I feel relieved more than anything. And I think a lot of people are basically on the same page. Now's where the fun starts. And we get to do...
Is apathy worse?
5 months. What?
Is apathy worse? I feel like it's worse. It's just I lost all feeling. Now I'm just completely apathetic and broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... I wouldn't describe it as apathy exactly because I'm not apathetic to this team. I still want them to succeed, but it's just realizing that right now we're quite a ways off that goal. And the situation that we found ourselves in from now until the end of the decade is so ludicrous. It's so absurd in the context of everything that's happened in NBA history that I don't know. How do you fucking react to that other than you got to embrace it? I think you got to take the hits, go with the self-deprecating humor a little bit. And obviously everyone's fucking mad too. Beal tonight was a whole new level of disastrous that we've never seen from any player in a Phoenix Suns playoff game. Landry Shamet was never that bad. DeAndre Ayton was never that bad. Chris Paul was never that bad. I don't know. You want to go back to the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, whatever. He hit a new level, so congratulations to Bradley Beal. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant did show up. They had 2 fantastic games, too little, too late. But, I think that's going to impact some people's perspective now as we go into the summer and, have to have the sort of tough conversations about those guys and their future on this team too. I think people are going to have at least a little bit less of a bad taste in their mouth, knowing that, yes, we went out, but Book and KD showed up in game 4. However you feel about that is whatever. But
yeah, we can talk about that in a second. I want to read Brad's stat line because the entire thing needs to be really experienced here. 9 points, 4 for 13 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3, 0 free throws in a game where the Suns were getting every call, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 block, 6 turnovers, 6 fouls.
Half of those turnovers in the fourth quarter too. In the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they had a chance. They had momentum, I would say. They had a chance to win it, and there was 2 turnovers by Brad and then 1 really bad one by KD that just kind of
it just sucks that Grayson, and now look, they weren't going to win this series anyway, but it sucks that Grayson had to be out right now because you just felt like they finally maybe found something with the small ball. They should have done it way earlier, but they found it a little bit tonight. And if you just had Grayson playing Brad's minutes tonight instead of having to go back to Nurkic minutes in spots where he probably shouldn't have been playing, they would have won this game. They would have won this game. And, maybe they go into Minnesota in game 5 and they lose anyway. And so it doesn't really matter. But it's just Brad's level of disaster class really cannot be overstated tonight. He was that bad. And so I think we're going to take a week off, guys. We've talked about this on the last pod. We're going to take a week off from the pod. We're going to come back. And then I think, how do you want to approach it? Are we just going to start doing fake trades episodes, or should we?
I think, well, we got to have Max on, our friend Max, to talk.
We do.
I honestly can't wait. If anyone that follows Max on Twitter, you're probably looking forward to that one too.
He's probably gonna have. People think I'm unhinged, but he's probably gonna have an aneurysm live on the pod. So that will be good. I'll look forward to that.
So we'll go, and it'll be fun, I think, because
also
it'll be a nice reminder of what our expectations were at the beginning of the season. Once we go over all of the over-unders, I do have somebody that was tracking them in our Discord. I actually have them, did all the work for me. But that'll be fun to do to recap that. But I think we need to talk about, maybe set up what the offseason is going to look like, maybe like a biggest questions for the offseason kind of podcast. And honestly, we might be back tomorrow to talk about Frank Vogel being fired.
That's what I was going to say about Max too, because Max hates Frank Vogel. And I think if we have him on sometime in the next week, we got to check with his availability, obviously. But I think there's a strong chance that he will be reacting to a Frank Vogel firing. With Monty, it took 48 hours. I don't know. We're in uncharted waters with Matt Ishbia. It could be 10 minutes from now. And honestly, man, I would not be shocked. Okay,
so I sent this to you in the middle of the game, and I have to ask it because I think it's just too good of a question to ask here. But and we're having fun here. To anyone who's looking to get mad, look, this is how we cope. In the middle of the game, Brad checks out after one of probably his fourth foul, I think. And Vogel goes to give him a high five, and he just swats his hand away. Doesn't make eye contact, swats his hand away as he walks to the bench. So here's the question I'm asking you here. Would you rather keep Frank Vogel and Bradley Beal waives his no-trade clause, or fire Frank Vogel and Bradley Beal stays?
I don't think so. You did send me this mid-game, and I thought it was a funny prompt to go into. I don't think this is close. What do you think I'm going to say? I don't think this is close.
I don't know. Brad could be better. I mean, the contract's crazy. Don't get me wrong. That's the whole thing, right?
I'm trying not to see it just like with the whole recency bias, because I understand this was probably one of Brad's worst playoff games in his career. But for me, this is easily, he just threw up such a stinker and has been so disappointing in the playoffs. And he makes so much money for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
You easily, if you can rig a situation where you push him out of town and he waives his no trade clause, and you could just give Frank another chance, who honestly, I'm disappointed with a lot of things about Frank, obviously. But I think he mostly built a successful defense out of a pretty bad defensive personnel. And you could just fire him another year from now if it doesn't work out again. So for me, it's not even close. Get rid of Brad. Get rid of Brad by any means necessary. The question is, as I tried to point out on Twitter, well, what would you do? Are you with me there, or would you get rid of Frank?
I think that I would do that too. Yeah.
So
I think
who wants Brad is obviously the essential question, and I think that's what we're going to be talking about a lot this summer. I'm going to bring up a basketball reference page right now. Hold on.
I mean, the team that supposedly was connected to him in the past was the Miami Heat. And so you'd be taking the worst contracts from the Miami Heat potentially, right? That's the idea there.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be good for him. I don't know.
I really like the idea of if you could convince one of these teams that has cap space to trade for him. And I know we're coping here on a Sunday night after a sweep. Tell me what you think about this. The Orlando Magic, who are currently locked in a 2-2 hard battle and look like a legitimate playoff team, maybe unlike the Suns a little bit. They look good.
Yeah.
But still, they could use a little bit more offensive pop. They could use some more shooting. Do they believe Brad can give them those things? I don't know. But if the Suns make an offer to the Orlando Magic of Bradley Beal and try not to laugh when I read out these names. I'm just trying to match salaries. Jonathan Isaac.
Oh no.
Joe Ingles and a first-round pick. Would you do it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Jonathan Isaac, Joe
It's
Ingles,
pretty bad, man.
Pick.
I know. Can't get Cole Anthony here. We can't get Suggs. We can't get Suggs.
you could ask for Cole Anthony. I don't know if they're going to give you Anthony and Isaac. That was just my first thought. I was like, can you get rid of $20 million off your cap sheet, get out of the second apron, acquire a first round pick, and then just like, I don't know. I feel better already. I feel a little bit better with just that extra layer of maneuverability that the team just doesn't have right now.
I mean, like a team like the Heat, they could make the case that Tyler Hero is just better than Bradley Beal. You could have them both. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if they would want them both. And that's just where we're at with Bradley Beal. I think it's like, I actually feel really bad for Brad. I think there was a couple of shots of him once he had an awful game. Like, don't get me wrong, he did. But there were some shots of him on the bench where it was like, he just looked so distraught because he was trying out there and nothing was working. And I do think that of all the players on the Suns, you know, in some ways, the Suns asked Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal to change their games. Then Brad's the only one that tried. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, they didn't change that much. They continue to play the games that they've been playing. And to be fair, they're better than him. So players should adapt around the best players on the team. That's pretty normal. But it's the hardest transition to make, I think, going from the best player on a team to being the third best player on the team. And that's, I think, really, really troubling. Oh, what do we got here? Inside the waning voice
what is this tweet
of Frank Vogel, offensive issues around the Suns and their big three, and what comes next for one of the NBA's most expensive rosters. This is Shams Charania tweeting a story out that was clearly pre-written. Am I just going to read this live?
Should I just go for it as much as you can.
It's a Shams Charania article, so it's going to be like 3 paragraphs at most. I would guess. No, this one's long. This one's a little too long. Actually, can we get people? Maybe what we do is get people in the chat to post some of the more interesting parts of this article, and then we'll try to react.
I think that's what Steven is. Steven's currently on it. It looks like, but if anyone else sees some good stuff, I don't know. I mean, look, part of it is Shams knows he's going to get a lot of eyeballs on that right now because everyone is celebrating, except for Suns fans. Everyone else around the league is celebrating the Suns' downfall a little bit, and you know, we always knew that Vogel was going to be the fall guy. Again, I'm not saying that he was good because he wasn't at all, but this is just kind of, this feels, I don't know, they had this ready to go like for 15 minutes after the team lost the series is a little icky. But yeah, it is.
Well, here we got one thing here. Thanks to Bryce in the chat. The Athletic is saying Phoenix will take a hard look at making a full coaching change, or at the very least discuss adjustments to Vogel's staff. To me, that sounds like, is Ty Lue going to be available or not? Right? Because if Ty Lue's available, then they'll probably do it. And if he's not, then maybe they won't. Or at the very least discuss adjustments to Vogel's staff, which is, to me, anytime you start saying we're going to solve this by changing up the assistant coaches, you're undermining the head coach, and it always ends in disasters. So preferably for me, if you're going to make wholesale changes anywhere, probably just fire him, at some point. But general manager James Jones, however, is expected to continue overseeing the team building for the Suns, sources said, which I think
Matt, not taking the hit, so to speak, but kind of just understanding what his own influence was in building this team, and saying that he's not gonna throw James under the bus too, which I appreciate. I've defended James in the past. Well, I won't defend him for, like the Jalen Smith pick and stuff like that. He's made plenty of bad moves, but this particular team, this particular season was not James Jones's fault. So for him to be a fall guy for it would be a bit of a tough look, in my opinion.
Here we go. Frank Vogel entered the home locker room at Footprint Center and lit into his team after his Phoenix Suns had fallen to a 35-4 hole en route to a loss to the Los Angeles Clippers on April 9th. The head coach yelled so much that his voice could be heard outside the locker room, something Kellen told us about. After that happened, there was only one problem on this night. Suns players weren't buying it. The outburst seemed forced and out of character in their eyes. It continued at the next day's shoot-around in Los Angeles. Vogel tearing into the Suns before that night's road win over the Clippers. Vogel's eruption left players rolling their eyes. Sources briefed on the matter told The Athletic. One player even told The Athletic he had to keep from laughing. Who is leaking this? Who is leaking this?
Oh my God, Eric Gordon.
Is it Gordon? No, because that would be to Chris Haynes, right? Because that's who he was doing stuff to before.
I don't know if Eric Gordon is leaking it, but I can picture Eric Gordon or as the guy rolling his eyes. Isaiah Thomas is a really funny idea too. That he just signs like
He shows up.
10-day contracts with the
Honestly?
Sun, goes up,
Yeah.
gives the Athletic a hit piece on Frank.
Might be able to make some more money from the Athletic by doing that. Meanwhile, Durant, among the best scorers in NBA history, was not always happy with how he was used. Sources briefed on the matter told the Athletic that Durant never felt comfortable with his role in Phoenix's offense alongside Booker and Beal this season. Those sources said Durant had persistent issues with the offense, feeling that he was being relegated to the corner far too often and not having the proper designs to play to his strengths as the offense was built around pick and rolls, which it wasn't. I believe the Suns finished the season, I think, 26th in frequency of pick and rolls or something like that. At the same time, some teammates and people close to the organization believed Durant needed to voice his concerns more adamantly and directly with Vogel and his coaching staff. So that sounds like a problem to me.
KD, bro.
With both KD and Vogel here.
First of all, KD, you still scored like 28 points per game this season. So I don't know really about relegated in the offense. That just doesn't feel right to me. But also, if you really had that much of a problem with it, you got to tighten up your fucking dribble, dude. We tried games where we ran the offense through you. You can't handle double teams anymore. Maybe you could at one point in your career. At this stage of your career, you cannot do it. Like, it's disrespectful to go all the way and be like he's in the Carmelo Anthony phase of his career now. He needs to just like stand in the corner, take spot up threes. That's not what I'm saying. But obviously, you need to tweak your offense at this stage of the game. Or at this stage of your career, if you want to be successful and have a chance at competing for a championship. I just saw a stat. Anthony Edwards took more threes tonight, Mike, 13, than Kevin Durant did in this entire series.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, that's the whole thing we're talking about there.
I mean, if this was the last game, you would have woken up your neighbors with that stat.
True.
This is a interesting. Bryce put another quote in the chat here, but asked about the team's frustration level after the April 9th loss to the Clippers, Booker took a different approach, keeping his feelings to himself, but misreading the fan base's frustration with the quote, chillin', which is, by the way, to be honest, hearing the full context of what happened before that, it puts that quote in a little bit of a different light. Not to say that people would like it more, but there was a theory by our friend Kellen, who joined us on Playback, I believe the next game in LA, and talked about that quote and gave us the theory that maybe he was calling somebody out. Now, in context, maybe it was Frank. And here's another quote by Devin Booker tonight. Thanks, Bryce, for putting this in the chat again, too.
Thank you, all you guys who are keeping up with the reporters as they bring stuff in.
Devin Booker was asked if they had enough in terms of the roster to win with this group, which, by the way, is always an unfair question to ask a guy who's playing with teammates in the locker room. They're always going to say yes. But he said, yeah, roster-wise, everybody talks about the firepower, but it comes down to the details. It's super important. You can't just go out there and win off talent. So that, to me,
yeah. And
it'd be shocking if Frank survived this based on everything.
He's right. He's right about that. Frank is not going to survive. This is also really funny. Just the tweet from StatMuse about Yusuf Nurkic now being 3-17 in the playoffs. I didn't realize it was that bad, to be entirely honest with you. Obviously, I knew that those Portland teams didn't have a ton of success with him, but 3-17, sheesh. Nurkic is probably another guy on the chopping block this offseason, you would think, right?
If they can get anything for him, yes, I think for sure. Yeah.
If they can just figure out a way to turn him into a center who shoots threes, and then I think they live with whatever defense. I don't know. I think they'd be willing to live with a lot. But if they're going to approach this summer, and look, I'm just going to say it right now. I know KD and Book played really, really well tonight. Personally, if it were me and the way I'm going to approach this summer, I'm sorry if it makes anyone mad, I would listen to offers. I would listen to offers on both guys. I think what's most likely to happen is that they want to keep those two guys together. I don't know if that's the right decision, and they're going to try
right here from
build
Shams.
around them.
Thanks to Steven. The Suns now enter the summer planning to build around their top 6 players in Booker, Durant, Beal, Allen, Nurkic, and Royce.
Yeah, okay.
So planning on keeping Royce.
Build Allen. What? Build what around those 6 players? How? Hey, with what money?
What are the other options? They can build a team that's a 6 seed that gets swept in the first round, or they could just be awful. They don't own their picks anyway, right? They could get.
Yeah, no, I understand. So I understand retooling, but it's around those specific 6 players you cannot retool. That is not possible.
You mean those 4 shooting guards and 2 other players?
Here's what you can do. You can keep Booker. You can keep Durant. I think this playoffs and this entire season proved that they're not an ideal match for each other. But if you really don't want to listen to any trade offers on Kevin Durant and maybe get something back for him, 60 cents on the dollar, I get it. So you can keep those two guys together. And then I would keep Grayson Allen because he shot the hell out of the ball. It was unfortunate about the ankle injury. The other pieces you got to flip around. You got to flip around the rest of those pieces. You got to put out as many hit pieces on Bradley Beal as possible until he waives the no trade clause. And hopefully you could get a role player and a protected pick out of someone. You flip Nurkic for anything you possibly can. What else do we have? Nazir Little, is he worth anything? Is he worth a second round pick somewhere? You're going to have the 22nd pick from the first round coming in. It's not a lot, guys. Like it doesn't sound great, which is why like I am going to be open to coming up with trade proposals for the top two guys on the roster too. But like this idea that they can just go in with just those 6 players and then build what around them? They have nothing else. Like it's just going to be minimum contracts. We're just going to run it back doing the Jordan Goodwin, Yuta Watanabe thing again.
Listen, life's all about leveling up. Whether you're handling business on the field or kicking it in your zone, you like to celebrate with cigars that match the moment. That's why you should link up with Famous Cigars to bring you a wild deal. Right now, you can grab 8 premium cigars for just $8. You heard that right. 8 top-rated cigars at $1 a stick. Top quality brands like Oliva, Romeo y Julieta, and Davidoff. Handpicked just for you and worth over $80. Hit up famouscigars.com/cam and lock in this exclusive deal. While you're there, check out their insane selection of premium cigars, all shipped fresh and fast from their massive 20,000 square foot humidor. That's half a football field. Famous Cigars has been in the game since 1939 and still family owned. So celebrate every win with the folks at Famous. 8 cigars for $8. famouscigars.com/cam.
I think you have a better idea of what the team needs now, though, than when you were just kind of guessing without seeing them play together. Like this is another example, Stephen, from the article in the chat here. Booker remains at the center of everything and will be tasked with continuing to embrace an enhanced role as a leader and return to his usual assassin self once he's being set up by a proper point guard again. 2 things the team considers musts for the 24-25 season. So
wait, sorry,
one,
what was
Booker,
the second point guard? What was the second?
Booker being an assassin, getting back to himself essentially. And which I think is because look, as much as people have been frustrated with this season, we can talk about the game a little bit now too if you want, but Booker had 40, he had his playoff career high in this game with 49 points. He has 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Just a really awesome game for him. The Suns, in fact, outscored the Timberwolves with him on the court, which is a small W, but considering they got swept. But he was good in this game, and you saw quickly what we saw. We're just a year away from him being essentially one of the best players in the playoffs last year, and he's not old, right? He's not over the hill in NBA terms, in basketball terms, in any way.
That's why
we're talking about one of the best players in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why, again, I would listen to offers. I'm not saying I'd do anything. I'm just saying I'd listen to offers. But if you had to put a gun to my head and say it is not a good idea to keep Kevin Durant and Devin Booker together, one guy has to go. The obvious answer for me is Kevin Durant, just because he keeps getting worse. And theoretically, Books should be able to continue to get better. He didn't show it this season. I think this was the first season in his career where he either, you can probably just say regressed a little bit or stayed flat. But you have to believe that
he definitely regressed.
In the playoffs, he absolutely regressed. But playoffs is a smaller sample size, so I don't know. But you understand that hopefully you can still build something there. Yeah, it's tough, man.
I think it's clear based on this article that at the very least, the Suns, somebody with the Suns, and you can argue whose legacy matters the most to them right now, but somebody at the Suns is trying to ensure that Frank Vogel takes most of the blame here.
Yeah,
right?
And I'm going to be here to remind people all summer long that as well as Book and KD played in games 4, and as much as it's not their fault that we lost tonight, Just running back what we did last summer where we fire the coach and then sign some role players is not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough for this team. The big two
probably
things that
right. I
concern me-
think the question is, if you start with the expectations, will this team win a title? Then you're right, 100%.
Yes, because we leveraged everything on the Kevin Durant trade.
But
and then
question
is telling us that we're trying to win a title. So I'm just taking him at his word, Mike. I'm just trying to take him at his word.
You're talking about two different options of not winning a title, essentially, right?
Okay, fine.
Being a good team and not winning a title, or trying to be a bad team and not winning a title. That's what we're talking about, right?
Here's a big thing that concerns me moving forward. If you're going to continue to build this team around Book and KD, which, that there are avenues there to win a title. But the two big things you need threes around them, more than just Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon, more than just the shooting guard position. You need threes from every position. So that's number one. And then two, you need rim pressure. Bradley Beal was supposed to be able to provide that in addition to some playmaking. He obviously wasn't good enough. The notion that you're going to be able to go out and get like high-level playoff rim pressure and high-level playoff shooting for what? Minimum contracts? Is ludicrous. It's absurd. It doesn't exist. It's not out there. So that's why you have to start talking about flipping all the other pieces. And maybe it's still not out there. Maybe through trading Nurkic and trading Beal and trading fucking Nazir Little, I don't know, or the 22nd pick. Maybe all that stuff, the pieces you need to find to build around Book and KD still aren't out there. But you got to try. You got to do something rash.
Yeah.
You cannot just say, we're really confident in our core of 6 players here after you got spanked like this against the Timberwolves. You didn't push them to 6 games. You didn't push them to 7 games. You got spanked. And they cannot be complacent and just blame everything on the coach, rinse their hands of it, and say that everything's going to be fine next year. Because it won't.
Yeah. Understandable. I think from the perspective of Matt Ishbia, from the perspective of James Jones, they're probably looking at this team. And even that quote about taking the top 6 guys, I mean, not really though, right? I mean, they're going to try. We know the 2 guys, because I do think there is a world where a team built around Devin Booker and Kevin Durant could be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NBA. And I know they know what the problems with that team are right now.
A team built around
enough 3-point shooting.
A team built around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is the best team in the NBA,
right?
Arguably. And like those guys are, I would say about on the same level of the combined, if not worse than the combined talents of Book and KD. But it's just about the pieces you have around them and the maneuverability that you give yourself to move assets around. I'm seeing some references to it in the chat, so I just have to ask real quick. Vogel gets fired, let's say in the next 48 hours. Do you think JJ Redick gets an interview?
I mean, maybe.
And
it seems like teams are just giving him interviews, right? He doesn't seem to be serious about taking jobs right now.
Maybe he would be. Maybe they would listen to him.
It'd be like the Steve Nash hire, basically. A new version of that.
It would be very funny, and I love JJ, and I would root very hard for him. We'd
have a direct line to the coach of the Suns. How funny would that be?
Oh, yeah. It'd be dope. I tell people now that thanks to JJ, I have a 1 degree of pod separation from LeBron James. That's what I've been telling people recently. I feel really good about that.
Are there any NBA coaches that went to Michigan State? I think I've already looked this up, right?
I don't know. I have no idea. Tom Izzo is going to be coaching the Suns next year. Tom Izzo would be so dumb to take this job, guys. He would be so stupid.
I mean, how old is
NBA
Tom Izzo?
job.
Is he older or younger?
He's old
than Mike D'Antoni. What do you think? Do you have a guess? I'm looking up their ages right now, and I'll tell you.
Dude, D'Antoni has to be like 75. What is Mike D'Antoni?
He's 72, and Tom Izzo is 69. Tom Izzo, for those who in the chat and people listening on this podcast later, Tom Izzo is younger than Mike D'Antoni, because people have been wanting Mike D'Antoni. People have been wanting Mike D'Antoni. I just think it's important to point out that Tom Izzo, who has been old all my life, is younger than Mike D'Antoni.
If you want to be an NBA coach, this should be part of the interview process. Is they should run a little like obstacle course, and you have to get out of the way of a charging player fast enough, like Chris Finch was not able to do tonight.
Poor guy.
Prayers up for Chris Finch. I hope his knee is okay in all seriousness.
Yeah, that was brutal.
but he's only in his mid-50s, and he got
Is
got.
he really? He looks
Chris
older
Finch,
too.
yeah, he's 54. They said it on the broadcast.
Okay. That's the same
right.
age as Gwen Stefani.
How long have we been doing this for? We got.
Can we just
100
say that Chris Finch and Gwen Stefani are the same age one more time? Okay,
That
what
is
did you
crazy.
say?
We got 200 people in here. Do you think we should take some questions?
Okay. I mean, if anyone wants to join, there's no rules. We didn't make a plan for this podcast. In fact, when I said that we were jumping on Playback, that was about 2 minutes after we decided to do it. So if anyone actually wants to jump on stage and talk to us real quick, feel free. I mean, what's stopping you? So send a request to jump on stage and you want to ask us a question. That's fine with me. All right, Cody, I'm going to let you on right now. Thanks everyone for hanging out here in the chat. By the way, this has been
It's going to be
a
okay.
fun little therapy session for us.
It's not going to be okay, but it is going to be okay, if you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. Cody, you're here. You may have to unmute your mic in order to speak.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm here, and I'm not in the arena, and you can hear me.
Yes, that's right. You sound good.
I decided not to go for my own sanity and my own health, and I'm glad I did.
And your wallet, probably.
Yes,
yeah.
and my wallet. Oh, man, lots of fun stories on that. I'll have to share with you guys the pricing and the fact that they were like $200 cheaper than what season ticket holders locked into, which is crazy.
I heard about that.
Yeah, super bad. No, my question is this, though. Like, I joke about this, but like really, when you talk about this, and I don't know who you have to ask, is there any rules with this second apron around like coaching, ownership? Because LeBron, the only way you're going to get that guy is if you give him something else. He's not going to just get the vet men, but can you literally make him the coach too? And under the table, push all that money as a coach, but he's also a player. Those kind of wacky scenarios are where my head started to go about 2 weeks ago. So that's what I want to know.
So ownership is a really interesting question, actually, because I do think maybe there's some unique stuff you could do with ownership. I'm pretty sure the NBA outlawed player coaches in like a really old CBA.
Yeah.
Someone would have to check me on that, because back in the day, like in the 50s, 60s, the Wild West of the NBA, you used to see player coaches a decent amount. But it hasn't been a thing for a long time. I'm pretty sure you can't do it anymore.
I think players are not allowed. Let me see. I just looked it up right now. Players will now, this is part of the last CBA. I just remember this, so I wanted to Google it real quick. Part of the last CBA was that the players did negotiate to make sure that NBA players could have potential ownership stakes. NBA players will now be able to take their small slice of the skyrocketing franchise valuations that have turned NBA teams into multi-billion-dollar entities. So it looks like players can, while player is still not able to have direct ownership stake in an NBA team or any company that owns an NBA team, they can now invest in a fund approved by the NBA to buy a passive minority share in an NBA team. So there it is.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
We can't technically make a player an owner of a team. And I think this changed partially because of Michael Jordan, if I'm not mistaken, when he had partial ownership stake in the Wizards, which makes sense, right? How do you trade
LeBron's,
a guy who owns the team, right?
yeah, no, for sure. LeBron's holding out for that Vegas team anyway. If he can retire first.
All right, Steven, I'm going to bring you on the stage right now, and we'll talk to you for a minute here. Yeah, it's the LeBron thing. Look, as much as it's a joke by us, just drafting Bronny will fix the Suns. It still would be awesome if LeBron played on the Suns. I don't care. What's up, Steven?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up?
I've had this theory that Booker is a sponge as a player, that he takes a lot of players.
Oh no!
Kind of abilities.
I can see where this is going. Yeah,
and like stratagems. So like Chris Paul, he took this like ferocity, this love of the game. Ayton, he took the opposite, where he just despised him, so he despised his game.
Yeah.
Is Kevin Durant poisoning Devin Booker? I mean, we're
poisoning him with ethical hoops,
with ethical hoops.
We
with the attitude, with some nonchalant, with the extracurricular off the court stuff, where he's now a shoe salesman.
It's the weed.
Are we?
It's the weed.
Are we sure?
Arizona should have never legalized weed. You guys have legal weed, right? I can't remember.
Yes. Should we rally against that as a as a fan base rallying against legalizing marijuana?
Hashtag no more weed.
The Timeline podcast is now against legalized marijuana.
The team has an official hashtag every season. What was it this year? I don't even remember
it takes
anymore.
Everything, I believe.
It takes everything. It's time to rise. It's, Valley proud, whatever. And just next year should be no more weed. Just stop the weed.
That's our new shirts. Yeah. Can I say that maybe, is it possible that Devin Booker learned the apathy from DeAndre? And that was the thing. Sponge soaked up.
I just don't think Book and Steven was alluding to this. I don't think Book ever really respected DA's game. He tolerated his game for 5 years, but he didn't respect him. He obviously respects KD.
It's his favorite player. Yeah.
Yeah. He loves the Hezzy mid-range Jimbos more than anyone else, to incorporate more of those into his game. But yeah, I don't know how much this take is funny. Like, it's funny to talk about. I don't know how true it actually is.
I think it's funny if this was in Spaces and not Playback, there would be so many people screaming at Steven on Twitter right now. So that's why we got our own place to do it here. BGZ, I'm going to bring you on the stage right now if you're still here. He did learn a lot from Chris Paul. There's a lot of Chris Paul in his game now, I think.
No doubt. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, yes. How you doing?
Hey, doing all right. I mean, this season just felt cursed, honestly, from the beginning. I don't know, that any of us are surprised that they went out the way they did. I mean, disappointing for sure, but I mean, it just didn't feel right all season. They would get into slumps and just lose games they shouldn't. And then the fourth quarter stuff. But my question to y'all is, who do you want to be the Suns head coach next year? And who do you think will be the Suns head coach next year? That's
a good way of phrasing that question. I think that, Sam, I'll ask it to you this way too. Do you think it's more, would you take the field or would you take Frank Vogel if you were betting on who would be a coach for the Suns next year?
Betting on who's going to be the coach? Easily, yeah. I'm taking the field. Yeah, and everyone in the chat is saying the field too. I just think that's the right answer. Who within the field?
If that Shams article didn't come out immediately after the game,
would I have still said
then
that?
I would say no. Me personally, I would be like, it feels like 50-50, But the fact that there was like Shams had first of all, if Shams writes something more than 3 paragraphs, it means he's been working on it for a month. Because anytime he has his tweet that turns into an article, it looks like an AI wrote it. That one seems pretty well researched, I would say.
Shams has to write all of his articles in 30-second pockets.
It was Holler that wrote it. That's why.
It was Doug Holler. Okay, so I can't even make fun of Shams. I was going to say Shams.
That's why it felt like journalism.
He probably never looks away from his phone for more than 5 minutes. He doesn't have time to sit down and write the articles.
He has 2 phones. He has 2.
Who is going to emerge as the lead candidate amongst everyone in the field is a question. Right. I mean, I don't know. How do you guys feel about Coach Bud?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility.
Sure, he's gonna be one of the names everyone throws out. I don't feel any way about that. I don't feel like it's necessarily better. Yeah. I just feel completely neutral. What's wrong with,
at least Bud won outside of the bubble? Okay, Adrian, so let's just answer his question as he asked it though. Who do you want to be? It's Ty Lue, right? I mean, I don't think there's a secret. We wanted that last year.
Or if Eric, you can Spoelstra, find a way. I will pay Eric Spoelstra to be the owner of the Suns.
Yeah,
and then he can come
give
over.
Spoelstra a 5% stake in the team. There you go.
If anyone else,
that's
in
probably
the chat
allowed. Honestly, there's no rules for.
If anyone else has a favorite candidate, I'd love to hear it. Just in the chat, because honestly, Kenny Atkinson, yeah, that's fine. Adrian Griffin, that's fine. I mean, these guys are known.
Adrian Griffin's awful.
I mean, they're known quantities.
He was fired after a month.
Darvin Ham, absolutely not. Earl Watson, absolutely not. Igor Kokoshkov, absolutely not. What are we doing? Where are we going to pull these candidates from? Alvin Gentry is old. How old is Alvin Gentry?
Is Alvin Gentry? We're playing the Tom Izzo game. This is a new game on the podcast. Is this person older or younger than than Tom Izzo. I'm going to find out right now. He's 69. He's a Tom Izzo in age. Yeah.
What if we pull a
Nice.
Hornets with Steve Clifford and just try and bring Monty back? Try and outbid the Detroit Pistons on him. That might have to be another year or two down the line once he.
Can we trade for him
from that job?
Trade Nurkic.
Yeah, we could.
Trade Nurkic
we could trade for him. We could trade for him. And the Pistons are going to be the team with the most cap space. So you bet your ass I'm going to come up with some. I'm going to come up with some Brad Beal fake trades, sending him to the Detroit Pistons for sure.
All right, Justin R491. I'm bringing you on the stage right now. And I'm just going in order. Playback presents these to me, so sorry. Maybe I'm going in the wrong order here, actually. What's up, Justin? You may have to unmute yourself here.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes. How you doing?
What's up, Justin?
Good. Hey, just want to give you guys props and thanks for having this community. Your Discord is very fun, very engaging, random conversations every now and then. My question is, would you, hindsight being 2020, but now that we have the new CBA rules, would you rather have a cheap owner like Sarver still, or kind of like this erratic Matt Ishbia, 180 degrees on his decisions, you know?
Oh, what a question.
So, thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Justin. I'd rather
it is
have
funny.
Ishbia.
Yes. I mean, you want a guy who can make the most out of the rules as they're written, and Sarver would never be that, right? In fact, if Sarver was involved in the negotiation for those CBA rules, he might have worked even harder to make sure that teams were limited in some capacity. So
I still just love my favorite thing Ishbia has done. We can shit on this season all we want, but getting us out from under the thumb of Bally Sports, I want to believe that that's not just a 1-year investment, or it's not something that we were necessarily going to see the benefits of this season. But I'm hoping 5 or 10 years from now, it's just like obvious that there's a more robust community, a more robust, younger fan base among people who grow up in the Phoenix area because of that decision. So I'd definitely rather have Ishbia.
He's going to be better. He's going to, even outside of all of the on the court stuff, you know, that Matt Ishbia could potentially help with, because I'm not going to turn on him yet. Everything else is going to be better. Building that massive center for the WNBA teams, moving the offices out of the arena, making it easier for the people that work there to get to it. We have no evidence that he's a weird, horrible, racist, sexist monster. I mean, maybe that'll come out later, but we had pretty good evidence of that being the case with Robert Sarver. So I think that's he hasn't, as Cage is saying, he's never pantsed anyone in a public meeting, as far as we know. So far so good on that front. In fact, add that to the list of requirements for all NBA owners from now on. Yuji, I believe is your name. I'm bringing you on the stage here. I think I'm excited to see whatever that office is going to be that he's building. Supposedly wants it to be done by next year. How you doing?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
what's
sir.
up, man?
I completely forgot what I was gonna say. I'm on the East Coast, and I'm just happy that this disaster of a season is over. I've destroyed my sleep schedule. I've slept through morning classes just to hold out hope that this team would figure it out, and I'm just happy that it's over. This was a tragedy.
Those 8 a.m. classes are rough, man. It's 1:30 right now. So you're a student, I take it?
Yeah.
So you got finals coming up and everything, man. That sucks.
I'm
This
on
team
an essay right now.
This team's not worth it. This
Yeah.
team's not
Well,
worth it. Go to bed.
You have lots of opportunities to get some rest, although wouldn't blame you for staying up watching Anthony Edwards after what we just saw tonight. He's pretty amazing to watch.
He won me over the series.
It's hard to hate him.
I know people like get a little bit weird when you try and be complimentary of the other team instead of like, you don't see it with everyone, but there are always people who get like, they're like, stop glazing him. I get that a little bit.
I mean, there's this one tweet I saw that I keep remembering. It's like, if I was a local sports announcer, I would be describing the other team's players as not good people. just objectively horrible team. And sometimes I get into that, but I have to stop myself.
I don't think anyone, there are plenty of NBA players who are not good people, but I think the league's in pretty good hands with its stars right now. I will say I sports hate Nikola Jokic. So going into the next series, Denver versus Minnie, I'm easily rooting for Minnesota. It's not even close for me.
Fair enough. Thank you guys for the podcast, by the way. This is it's always entertaining.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And yes, I think I am on your side as well as far as I think I tweeted it out. I think I said it exactly as I wanted to. It sucks that it's over, but on the bright side, it's over. It's like, it does suck that it's over, but man, it feels like we are free in some ways. B Porter, I'm going to bring you on the stage right now. And we got some aggregation. FYI, Suns weren't always happy with KD, according to Cameron Cox. Well, yeah. Honestly, yeah. I understand that.
Wait, what did he say? He said the Suns weren't always happy with KD?
That's what Cameron Cox, who works for Channel 12, I could see that happening.
Yeah,
sounds like he might be burning a source there if I'm thinking journalism terms here. How you doing?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
What's up?
Hey, so I got 2 questions. I was saving them. Serious question, what's the worst player you take back in a Beal trade? Like if we just dump him, he waives his clause. Second one, if the Warriors waived Chris Paul, would you want him back on a minimum? I mean, I think they kind of burned the bridge, but I was just curious what you guys thought.
If the Warriors waived Chris Paul, would I want him? Well, what should we start with, Mike?
Either one's. I'm fine. If you're starting on that Chris Paul one, I think that yes, I would just say yes.
Yes,
sure.
yes. I would absolutely.
A backup point guard? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take Bradley Beal on a minimum contract too. That's the entire problem, guys, right? Isn't it? Is we commit to these aging stars who we just can't afford to be paying $40 or $50 million anymore. Of course, I'd love Chris Paul on a minimum contract, the same way I'd love Bradley Beal on a mid-level exception, being my 6th man. But as a member of my big 3, I'm just not so sure anymore. I need to look up the Miami Heat cap.
They have to shoot threes, right?
Hold on.
They have to at least shoot threes. I'm not going to do it for unplayable guys if we're keeping Book and KD. So
well, they need to make a lot of money. So I mean, Duncan Robinson makes $20 million next year.
Yeah, so that's good, right? In the case that he could potentially be traded, I don't know what the cap situation in Miami is. They might have to figure out how to get under the second apron or something like that if they want to make this kind of trade. So I don't know. D'Lo and Rui, Country K says in the chat. Sure.
D'Lo and Rui.
Honestly?
Man, I don't know that I would stoop that low. I would really rather just...
Rui's a playable wing, at least.
Isn't D'Lo just a worse Brad?
D'Lo was pretty good this year. I mean, if you look at the stats...
He's also had some absolute stinkers in the playoffs. So,
thank you for that question, B. Porter. Rogue, I'm going to bring you on stage right now. We'll take a few more after
Lurtz, that's just because we have the smartest listeners in the NBA, clearly.
Yep.
Everyone gets on stage and they just have fabulous basketball knowledge. All of you guys know ball.
Rogue, I like the picture. How you doing?
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So this season had a lot of lows, but what were some of your favorite highs from this season?
Excellent question, Rogue. Thank you for jumping on stage with us, by the way. Sam, I know you're number one, right?
I mean, of course. Yeah.
You saw the best moment, I think, of the season in person.
Do you think that was the best moment?
Was it not? What else could it be? I guess the comeback against the Kings was really good. There's a good comeback.
Booker, multiple 50-point games against the Pelicans.
That was good too. Yes.
Up there because those were both wins. You know, so he had some amazing games. He also had a 60-point game this season, but we lost that one, so I'm not going to count that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My favorite moment was for sure seeing the game winner live against the Knicks at the Garden, for sure. But non-Booker moments, what were the best moments of the season?
Yeah,
KD had some games. Brad had a couple games.
Yeah, because Brad had one really good game against the Lakers. You know, KD Chicago, KD Sacramento. Both of those comebacks, I think KD just absolutely took over, and that was really fun.
Every time Grayson Allen made 9 threes.
Yeah, there's a few Grayson Allen 9-3 games. 3, I think, the end of the season with. And I think the Brad game against Washington, but I didn't feel Washington was awful. So like that one didn't feel.
What
like
was the
it was
game where Emma Stone was there and also the dog peed on the floor?
That was Lakers.
What game was that? Was that the Lakers game?
Yeah.
The Kings game? People are saying
no, it was
different
Lakers.
things.
It was Lakers.
That was the best game of the season.
Yeah, they showed a bunch of celebrities and
Yeah.
and then she pointed at. I think that was the Brad game, if I'm not mistaken, right? The game that Brad had like 38 or something like that. But yeah, that was a good one. All right, let's see. We got a lot of people asking. We're probably just going to take a few more here, guys. Sorry, SoCal Sun. I'm going to bring you on right now. Oh nope, I pushed the wrong one. So, who did I bring on? D. Durst, you're coming on right now. If you're able to see this.
SoCal, you have been evicted from the room.
No, he's still waiting. He's still waiting. I'll bring him on next. Yeah. Sorry.
Yo, you guys hear me?
How you doing?
Hey,
yes,
what's
sir.
up?
Oh man, long season, but I'm happy it's over. I have a lot of thoughts. One, like, that was the worst possible matchup we could have had. I don't know why we went into that series thinking that was super easy, because it wasn't.
Yeah, 3 wins, I think, really makes you think that.
I'm never letting the regular season trick me again, y'all.
But
like,
honestly,
between
guys,
the fucking Mavs and now this series. Like,
what we're talking about is, would you rather play the 1st seed, the 2nd seed, or the 3rd seed? In most cases, you would choose the 3rd seed, right? They're usually worse than the 1st or 2nd seed.
They were just so big, and like,
yeah,
we were just never going to win. This team was strictly built to beat the Nuggets, and I don't even think we could have done that. I don't think we're as screwed as you kind of think you're in your head. We just got to nail this first pick, and I think Beal, you could trade anybody in this league, so hopefully we can get something. And,
if he wants to go,
keep it moving.
I mean, it could always be worse in the sense that, like, you look at the Clippers right now, and I know this is like a debate on NBA Twitter of like who's in a worse situation, the Suns, Clippers, but like that Kawhi knee situation is scary for them. And say what you will about Brad, but at least for the time being, he's playing games. Kawhi is owed like $180 million over the next 3 years, and who knows how much he's going to be available. So, there are a couple of other team situations around the league that I don't envy, is all I'll say. We're not in good shape, but I think, somehow it could be even worse.
Yeah.
Very true.
All right, thank you for jumping on with us. I'm going to bring SoCal Sun on right now since I was trying to do that a second ago. How you doing? Thank you for jumping on. By the way, thank you everyone for hanging out here in chat. I know people listening to this later won't be able to see that, but we got 175 people in here. Yeah.
It is late as hell. Yeah. Shout out, guys.
SoCal Sun, are you able? There you are.
Mic on?
Yep. How you doing?
Okay. Doing all right. This is kind of an ironic question given the performance that we just watched, both from Anthony Edwards and from Devin Booker. But a question I've been thinking about recently is just, can a shooting guard, can the type of player that Booker is lead a team to a championship in today's NBA?
Yeah.
It's a great question.
It is a really good question.
This is a great question because I've been thinking about it too.
Well, I mean, what about Anthony Edwards?
Yeah. No, I've thought about it for the same reasons, because Anthony Edwards needs to answer a lot of questions about deficiencies in his game if he wants to be able to win a championship. I think the big one that people have pointed out is playmaking. We saw some playmaking leaps from him in this series and his ability to handle multiple versatile defensive coverages. I think the thing is, like, it is, if you can develop your playmaking up to a certain point, which is really hard for most two guards to do, the physicality advantage of being 6'5" or 6'6" versus being, say, a point guard is real, especially with the way that we're seeing officials call games right now. Like, if you're going to say, can you win a championship in today's NBA with a two guard as your main guy, you could easily extend that same logic to one guards right now, too.
So what you're saying is Adam Silver changed the rules right when he knew that Steph Curry wasn't going to win any more championships.
I mean, that's not exactly what I'm saying. I guess it's just like,
he's like, you know what? I don't need this cash cow anymore.
There's problems all over. because
I think that
in order to succeed, you go ahead first, and then I'll say.
I think that we have to think about the NBA a little bit differently now, because if the Suns, for example, knew that the second half of the season was going to be officiated the way that it was, they would have built their team differently. And I think a lot of teams are going to approach this offseason with the question of, will the NBA continue to be officiated the way it currently is? Because it's dramatically different than it was before that. And I think that's pretty crazy to think about. So in some ways, the last time we saw a shooting guard be the best player, what is that? I mean, are we counting Kawhi Leonard in 2019? Does that count? I mean, he's kind of a small forward, right?
He's a small forward.
So I guess Kobe Bryant, was that the last one?
Yeah, it was Kobe.
In some ways, the NBA, in the way it's being officiated now, looks a little bit more like it did back then. Now, I'm not saying it will continue to do that, but I mean, that's kind of the difference, right? It was when they had the rules in place the way that they did, it was benefiting smaller players like point guards. And, you know, like you said, shooting guards are a little bigger. And I don't know if that'll matter. Maybe it'll be Giannis's league, but I think the thing about big players that are like barreling into the lane is that they're not calling it in favor of the guys, the offensive players who are initiating the contact.
Ask a Philadelphia 76ers fan right now if they feel that just having one of those big physical players is, you know, giving them an inherent advantage in the playoffs. Joel Embiid has been a massive failure in this year's playoffs, and that series isn't over. Anything could happen in that series, but it is important to be big and physical. And obviously, if you have Jokic or Giannis or Embiid, even that does present certain advantages in the playoffs, but it's not the be all end all. I think if you're building around a wing, I know I sound like a broken record. You just got to shoot a lot of threes. The other thing I think about is like, if we're not, Kobe is the last time a shooting guard really led a team to a championship. But the last time we had a elite shooting guard who I strongly felt could have led a team to a championship under certain circumstances was prime James Harden with the Rockets. And, you know, there are certain things that he had to tweak about his game in order for that to be possible. But just who Harden was at that point in time when he was in his prime, like let's say 27 years old, the combination he had of, you know, playmaking and vision, his own self-creation, and also, you know, the extra 20 pounds and 2 or 3 inches of height on some smaller guards to be able to physically body his way or like barrel to the rim. Mm-hmm. That was a really unique skill set. And it's just really hard to find in a package of any two guard. I think Ant could potentially have that skill set, you know, the combination of playmaking and creation and physicality. And I think Booker could potentially have that skill set. But what's ironic about Booker is that he just has been the same level of long distance shooter for 8 years in a row, when that's the player that, you know, he was drafted to be. He was drafted to be a shooter. All other aspects of his game, he's improved upon leaps and bounds since then. And he's still the same 3-point shooter 8 years later. It just doesn't make any sense.
One thing I'll remind you of is that James Harden would be averaging 6 free throws today's game if he played the same way. You know, he was averaging like 10 or 11.
I don't know about that though.
That would have been. They're not calling those grifting fouls anymore. They're not.
Yeah, I mean, there was a big jump up. I feel like the absolute worst time for vibes following the NBA was like basically just in the last year or two. The amount of free throws that we saw, the amount of fouls that were being called. And when Harden was in his prime around 2017-18, I guess you're right. I guess over the years they did take away some of the stuff that he was doing back then. But I guess I didn't feel at the time watching those games that it was quite as bad as it had gotten, say, you know, in the past year watching like Trae Young play.
I think people may forget just how often James Harden would drive into the lane and just hook guys around their arm and hold them and then shoot 2 free throws. And then that would just be him getting points. And that would happen 4 or 5 times a game. I mean, that's a lot. That's 10 points potentially.
What did Gerald ask?
It was not fun to watch. Gerald asked, Devin Booker, why it took so long in the series for Suns to show any type of fight or show the type of fight that they had in game 4. And he said, I think pride was on the line, but everyone's response is that should have been from the start. And I completely agree. Devin Booker clearly thinking a little bit more about how Suns fans are going to react to the things that he says, which I know some Suns fans care about that. All right, let's do 2 more. I think Mark R. and Los, I believe you've been waiting the longest. I apologize to everyone else, but What time is it where you're at, Sam?
1:43 in the morning.
All right, Mark, I'm going to bring you on right now. Los, you'll be up next. Appreciate once again everyone hanging out with us and everyone listening to this podcast later. We almost didn't record it. I felt like I needed it, and Sam, I think you agreed. So, Mark, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Not bad. Thank you for joining us.
I'm just wondering, with the shot diet that these two have, and on 1 in 35, is there any team you can build around them with your 2 stars that shoot that shot diet that take you anywhere?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah,
I think
it's harder. Yeah.
They frustrate the shit out of me, dude. I'm not going to lie. But yes, I think it is possible if you have like the absolute perfect personnel around them, you know, but the other guys need to be chucking, you know, you need to have like Grayson Allen in the 2 guard and fucking, I don't know, who would you have at center? Miles Turner was a guy I brought up recently.
Yeah.
Like you just need to have someone who's spacing.
Brooke.
Or the ability to, or Brooke, or the
maybe the Bucks will break up. Maybe Dame will demand a trade again.
Small. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope so. It just feels like to me sometimes that they have to play absolutely perfectly to even be in the game.
Yeah,
I wish both of them would modernize their games. I think you're right about that.
I just think if you look at it from the perspective of being efficient players, they are. And they both generate threes. I think the problem with KD and what will happen to him as he gets older is that his play is not generating as much open threes for other guys because there's just not a lot of penetration involved with his game. Although I think he did a good job of it tonight, it's just not there on a regular basis anymore.
One small thing I wanted to give them credit for. Where did they finish? They finished with 11 turnovers tonight too, but I think a lot of that was just Bradley Beal in the 4th quarter. Other than Bradley Beal, the Suns took good care of the ball tonight, and I definitely noticed the additional spacing that was on the floor when they were going small in the non-Nurkic minutes. I did feel really helped KD's ability to actually create shots for like this is nothing monumental that I'm saying here, but I just think he had the space to not get doubled immediately in the post and make smarter reads than he normally does. And I don't know. I gotta hope that they could.
Well, they just didn't go into the post that much too. I think that's probably a little helpful for him. I don't know. Based on that article, maybe he wanted to go in the post a little bit more, but who knows? Los, I'm going to bring you on stage here, and then we'll call it a night for Sam. I'm very interested to see how they play next year. I know we have a lot of time to talk about that. For those who are listening later, Los has a hilarious picture on his a very sad Suns fan on his profile here. How you doing, Los?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
You're closing us out tonight.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I have a good closer, hopefully. But so going into this season, we had championship expectations, and obviously, that did not go very well. What do you guys believe, the Suns front office would need to do to help us as fans have some faith going into next season? And is it even realistic for us to have any type of championship expectations next season?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think that my expectations are going to be dramatically lowered from where they were at the beginning of last season. Do you agree with that, Sam?
Well, I like to look at trying to emulate your role models. I like to look at the Denver Nuggets getting swept by the Suns in 2021, and then came out. I think the year after that, they still lost pretty early in the playoffs. I can't remember anymore. 2 years later, though, they won a championship, and all it took was Jamal Murray being fully healthy, as the Nuggets fans would tell us. If you apply that logic to the Suns right now, we know all we needed was a healthy Damian Lee, and then maybe we could get there next year. That could be all it is. Just bring back Damian Lee.
Does Damian Lee have a player option too? I mean,
I actually have no idea. To give you a serious answer, yeah, my expectations are reduced for next year, Lois. They just are. But I think they could be a playoff team. I think they could compete, but they got to win me back. Mostly, here's what pisses me off about this team all year, and then I guess we can call it a night. It's just that there are teams that are obviously not built for playoff basketball, but at least they're fun to watch. I really want the Suns to find a way through style of play, through coaching, through adaptations that their 2 main stars make, whatever, get back to a place where if you're going to go down in the second round, can you at least be kind of fun to watch next year? Because it just was brutal this season. Brutal.
Yeah. All right, we got one Gambo tweet. First of all, Los, to answer your question, thank you for asking it, by the way. I think you're going to have to give Sam and I a little bit more time to cover the offseason in great detail, and hopefully we'll come up with some ideas that could be interesting. And most often, those ideas won't come to fruition, but they're always fun to talk about in the offseason. I always have fun. But Gambo tweeted something here, Sam. We'll end it out with this one. Gambo said, expect there to be a cooling off period, cooler heads prevail type of thing. Not sure on the coach's GM. Time will tell. If they decide to run it back and there may be no other option, which I think is an important note that he said, I expect the plan to be adding a point guard, backup center, and size at the wing. It's funny how both the article written in The Athletic and this one talking about backup center just ignore the fact that Eubanks has a player option next year and can just decide to come back. I mean, you can still sign another center. Don't get me wrong. He's a minimum guy.
He can accept his player. James Jones should be open with him and say, pick up your player option, but you're going to be the third string center. That's what they should do, is they should tell him that, and then it's his decision from there.
Oh, we got a Raptors Bradley Beal Photoshop. I'm cool with that. We'll figure that one out. Well, look, I want to say a couple of things. One, the team was not always fun this season, but I have found, Sam, in doing this podcast, that there's been a lot of times where, oh my God, a good tweet in the chat here.
I'm sorry, the people who are listening later cannot see the tweet that just appeared in our chat.
It's the Bradley Beal tweet from 2011 that just says, I need a job. So I have found that this season, even after losses, we've had a lot of fun on this podcast, and less people listen after losses than, of course, after wins. But this was an example, I think, of you and I still having fun after this, even though the season is over. And everyone here in the chat, everyone who joined us on stage, you guys have all made it fun for us too. As much as the season was a disaster for this, for the team, it was a pretty good one for the podcast, I gotta say. Am I wrong?
It was a solid one for the podcast. We released
for the
merch.
Community.
Yeah. Discord's thriving.
Lots of Discord. Yeah. Lots of playbacks this year.
I think we try and have events like this. This one was kind of spur of the moment, but proving that the internet is only a horrible place 95% of the time is good. Yeah. Trying to cling on to those good examples of finding community through
the amount of people
online.
The amount of people that tweeted garbage at Sam and I in the last 2 days kind of shocked me.
There's a lot of people, including national media heads.
Anyway, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening to us this season. Looking forward to the off season. Thank you for all the patrons that joined our Patreon this year. Thank you to all the people who bought any merch from us this year. We appreciate all of you. We're going to take a week off. We'll be back to trade the whole team. Thanks, everyone.
For over a century, Johnny Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereaux Golf, Johnny Walker introduces the Johnny Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, blue label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereaux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnnywalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly.